Hey, what's up everyone? Bdf 44 coming at you with another video. Alright, so I'm headed to do my grocery thing. It's been a pretty solid morning, no complaining at all. Good workout, good meal, good shower, good everything. And I enjoyed my time yesterday and the day before that, rather, celebrating Thanksgiving with the family, friends. Enjoyed myself. I drank a little bit, but not too much. I didn't have a hangover or anything like that. It was very steady type of situation. My stomach was acting up with the food that I ate, but I've since been able to overcome that and I'm back to normal right now, so I'm 100%. And got home at a reasonable hour on Thanksgiving night. Probably got in about 10:30 at the latest. So it was just a really good time with my friends and seeing people I hadn't seen in a little while. It was a great time. Great time. Good food. And my boy T dropped me back here, so I didn't have to take the train home or anything like that. It was all smooth. And I rested yesterday pretty good to get 100% again. And, enjoyed the Laker game and all that stuff yesterday. It was really good for me. And so, yeah, man, it was It's been a good end of the week. Today, of course, is Saturday, starting my weekend. Paid the rent tomorrow for the room. Sent my uncle a text yesterday morning. All that's pretty good. I did make a playlist, and I forgot. I think I made it the night before Thanksgiving. Another playlist. I took a lot of the music that I've been listening to in regards to Mass Appeal, which is a lot of like basically old artists who are making modern music. Wu-Tang and Nas. De La Soul dropped the album that I think is really, really positive, really good music. They don't sound like they dropped off at all. And that was before my time when De La Soul was making music. I knew their hits, but not really some of their other music. But I listened to a lot of the songs off of this album, and I was like really, really impressed with what they put together. And was able to put a lot of that on this playlist as well. So I just took everything from Mass Appeal, which is a label run by Nas and a partner of his, that they've been dropping all year, and just put it on one playlist. So that's the K-list 434, I believe it is. And the thing about Mass Appeal is they're dropping another album, which would have made it make more sense for me to wait to make this playlist, because they got one more album that they're gonna drop with Nas and Premier, which I'm super excited about. But I didn't want to wait to make this playlist, so I used music from all of the stuff that they brought this year without that playlist, that album being utilized. So historically, when we look back on it, I may wonder, why didn't you use it? why ain't none of this Nas stuff on it? It's because the album wasn't out yet when I completed it. And I didn't want to wait 2 weeks for that album to come out. So, yeah, man, that was a real fun, though. I enjoyed that music. Trip down memory lane. And, it was like listening to music from my teenage years. Stuff that the guys that I used to listen to. Mobb Deep and, Wu-Tang. And, some of my favorite MCs from that era. They still making music and they're doing a really good job, so I enjoyed that. Some Slick Rick, guys that were even before my time, So that was cool. That was a really good playlist. I think other people will enjoy it as well. Big L as well. It's a lot of stuff on there that I probably wouldn't use in modern times, but definitely enjoyed that today, or rather 2 days ago. So I still got to make art for that, and I'll get around to it. I probably won't do it for another couple of days, but that's going to be a project for myself to do. And then I got, of course, some music that just came out on Thanksgiving night that I added to a big playlist to sort through as well. So another playlist will be made, I'm sure, as I really sit down with that music as well. So we're continuing the consistency of what we've been doing in that regard, and it's been fun. And I really love doing it. So it's definitely not a chore. And you can go ahead and follow me on Apple Music, Bdf 44, and you'll see all my playlists there. I think you'll probably see some of my some of the playlists that I have that are not supposed to be shared. I think it's all there. So you can see what I'm working on. You can also see some of my playlists that are not arranged, that is just a bunch of music slapped together, meant to be plucked from and arranged. So all of it's there, I believe, not just the stuff that's complete. So yeah, man, what else is going on? Just minding what I'm supposed to be minding in regards to my health. Everybody at my that I was at Thanksgiving celebration with was telling me that I need to get to a doctor. You know, I was telling them what I've been dealing with my health and stuff like that, and they were like, "Man, hey, you should make that a priority right away. Don't put that off any longer." I was telling them I was having some struggles after the food that we had ate. They were saying, "You want to take any home?" I'm like, I can only eat like this one day. I can't. If I eat this way consecutively, it's going to create significantly more problems for me. And so I don't, you know, I hope it was received well. I enjoyed all the meal that they had. Everything that they put on the plate was delicious, but I didn't take nothing home. And it wasn't because I didn't like it. It was because I know that half of it I'm allergic to. And it was giving me trouble immediately after eating it. Before I even left the house, I was having pains in my stomach. So, you know, by the time I got home, I was full-fledged feeling sick, like literally sick. Just, you know, allergies are there for a reason, as I told you guys. You know, I tried experimenting with things that I'm allergic with. Oh, I could just eat this, little that, little this, little that, and just deal with it. No. Your body doesn't want to do that, and it's telling you it rejects it. So you got to respect that and follow accordingly. And that's what I failed to do on Thanksgiving. But, you know, as I said, I did want to participate in the festivities. And one day is fine. 2, 3, 4 consecutive days is a bad thing for me, very bad. So that's really what it comes down to, man. It's got to be as consistent with my diet as I'm forced to be, and as long as I'm in control of my own situation, it's not too hard to do that. So, you know, God willing, that'll continue to be my reality, and I have control over such things. So, yeah, man, you know, I'm very fortunate. But yeah, I've been feeling all right. Like I said, before Thanksgiving, I was lacking in energy. I think it had something to do with the meat that I was eating or something like that. So I've been sleeping a lot more than I probably would normally do in the daytime and stuff like that. And so it's time to get out here and walk around and climb a hill or two, you know, that kind of thing. I think my body's ready to do that. I've rested plenty. I need some more exercise. I ain't been doing my Hunter's Blue as much. In fact, I haven't done it at all this week. So it's just finding time and consistency, and that has been difficult for me for some reason. I don't know what that's about, but everything else that I've been doing has been kept up with, except for that particular exercise, which is very important to my cardio and stuff like that. So I don't know, man. I just doing my best, but you know, it is what it is. So yeah, man, that's really what it is for this day. Another routine day in my life. The weather's pretty nice. It's probably about 73, 74 degrees, something like that. Nothing to complain about at all. As I often do, I like talking about other things on this channel that are really important, and I usually end up with a soapbox moment. If you watch enough of these therapy sessions, you've seen me do this thousands of times. And you know, if anything, I can just say that, you know, it's a steady stream of stuff that's going on in my Instagram that is just more of what it is I was describing when we last spoke about it. Just the Israeli propaganda machine is failing dramatically, and they are reacting to it, further driving home the stake in their own heart. As they react and record themselves having conversations, we, the resistance to their genocide, are taking those conversations, plastering them on our feeds to further display their mentality and how far away from it is from all of us that they actually are. And that's what you see a lot of these days, is them sitting on their platforms just describing how they need to brainwash people better, and describing how they're having a hard time convincing everyone that they are the good guys, despite them wanting to destroy people and take their land and punish them 20,000 fold for whatever they may have done in resistance to the initial tyranny that they applied to these people. It's all they're doing is displaying their depravity and further making the world despise them even more. I think it's, if I'm a Zionist Israeli, I think it's time to shut up, if I'm being honest with you. It's time to stop talking. You know, you're not making it better. And, you know, we also discussed on the way to my Thanksgiving feast and festivities, a situation where 2 service members were shot in Washington, D.C., and how it may have been this may have been a false flag done by those same people. Well, information has dropped that shows that the individuals who were shot had been Googled. Their names, there was a spike in their Googles named history, people who were looking them up in Israel. It was discovered that not long before they were shot, their names had been Googled in Israel. So it's like, and these aren't public figures. You know what I mean? This is not like you're looking up some basketball player or something like that. These are random service people. Why are people in Israel suddenly looking them up right before they're shot? You know, the same platforms that they use to spy on us and they use to surveillance us are also being used to expose them. And I've been saying this on my channel in so many different ways, that just like we're being watched, so too are those who are watching us are being watched. You may have it in your mind, if you're them, to watch all of us and hope to influence all of us in whatever way you do, but you have to respect the reality is that this is two-way street. You also have devices that can be watched. You also are attached to this thing called the net, for which can be traced in whatever way or whatever how. You also have a body that needs to be secured and kept safe. And it's like, that's why I don't find myself as a private citizen being so worried about being watched. Because I never really actually think that there is real privacy as it pertains to technology. I think they've been able to watch us for a lot longer than we've been aware of them being able to do so. I've been thinking they've been watching us and listening to us through our technology for as long as I've been alive. I've always thought that. And so now that we're in a space where they're like, oh, Israel's watching you. Israel's been watching me on my whole life. The American government is watching you. The American government been watching my mother before I was even born. Like, that's how I live. So I don't really find myself too paranoid about that type of thing. Because I truly believe that we've never really had, most of our generations never really had privacy like that, to where the powers that be weren't able to tap into us at a given moment. I think they've always been tapping into us. And so I just don't, at this point, I've been telling you guys this on my channel for a while. I've been talking to these people through what it is I'm doing. I expect that they're listening. And so I've been communicating with them. And we've discussed that many times on this channel. Like, I expect the powers that be to have already seen me, and I expect that the Holy Spirit has allowed for me to reach some people directly. People that may have intended to think one thing when they watch me, after watching me, they walk away with an entirely different way of thinking. If they see enough of these videos, they probably will. So for me, it's like, I'm not just out here just doing random stuff, expecting that nobody's paying attention to me or whatever. I expect that there is very much some interest in what it is I'm saying, and I'm looking to reach those people. So I'm not worried about them seeing me. I'm hoping they do. That's been my point of view since I started the channel. It continues to be what drives me today. I pray a lot that I use my voice for the reasons that the Lord would intend, that could be better for those who follow me. You know, whoever they are, whether they're people in power or just random you, whoever you are. My intention is to try to give you something that you can work with, or give you a perspective that maybe you're not getting from many other places, if anywhere. I'm going to use what it is that I know are my gifts to show people a side of my people that maybe they don't see very often. Now, we don't have to be overly versed in the world or overly educated with books to be able to provide a substance, that there's something greater than ourselves that can insert that energy and that point of view into us without necessarily it making sense to anyone around us. You know, I can roll out of bed and say something profound. I don't have to be inspired by anything specific, not necessarily. It's just the gift that the Lord gave me. It has to be utilized properly. And I'm not bound by the measures of man. I'm not interested in trying to just do all the things that people deem successful necessarily. I don't know what comes with that, so that's not something I'm just welcoming into my life blindly. The measures of the Holy Spirit and the God I serve are more important to me than what it is that man tells me I need to be doing, which is not something I was taught by any man, to be honest with you. It's just an understanding that the Lord can create greatness from within a lot of different things, not just what it is that man thinks it is. You have a lot, therefore you're good. Not necessarily. You have a little, therefore you're unsuccessful. Not necessarily. The expansion of my belief that God can handle all of this is what inspires me to move in the direction that I'm on, and maybe you consider not successful. I fathom a world where when the time is right, people will hear everything that needs to be said from within this vessel. And that I was able to do things the way I was will allow me the opportunity to say it without being compromised. That's why I do the things that I do in the way that I do it, because I think if I try to go get a bag somewhere, somebody can suddenly say, okay, now we have the leverage to shut your mouth. You can't talk about this. You can't talk about that. Or if influence is saying, no, you got to be here at a certain hour. You got to be there at a certain hour. Therefore, you ain't going to be able to say what you would have said that hour, because you're going to be doing something else that we want you to do. There's attachment to the leverage that ultimately we have on you based on the contract or whatever you've taken from us. I'm not taking anything from you, so I can do whatever I want. 100,000% carte blanche to use my voice the way I need to, and that is my purpose. That's what I think gives me the best leverage to be most useful to the people, rather than trying to take on the measures of man and what they deem success, therefore losing all of my leverage and, you know, gaining wealth, but losing the ability to speak the truth, whatever I see it to be, or being, you know, pointed at and saying, yo, you got to say this correctly. You have to absolutely say this correctly. If you don't have this absolutely under control in that regard, then your credibility is lost. Nah, not really, not necessarily with the people who follow me. No, they know I'm not perfect. I'm not trying to be perfect. I'm trying to grow in my understanding and my responsibility. I don't necessarily have to be a master of that because I signed a contract with somebody. And you're not gonna come trying to sue me for getting it wrong because you don't even know I'm here saying it. That's strength, that's power. And I don't think people know to want that power because they're too busy going after the measures of man. Gotta have this many followers. I gotta have that much success. Gotta have this amount of money coming my way in regards. No. In a world where where it's about silencing people, the most important thing to have is your ability to have your own voice above all things. I personally would rather be able to speak the truth to 3 people live, which is going to be kept in the cloud for all time, which means the truth captured for all time, than to have to lie to 100 million people at once, for which the lie is also captured on the cloud forever. That doesn't make any sense to me in a time where people are trying their best to silence people, using their best to mold the propaganda coming out of the mouths of influencers. The most important thing an influencer can have is his own voice. To be able to control his time and his voice. That's the most important thing. That's the most important measure for a person that has intentions of being able to influence the world, is the ability to do so without being compromised by an interest that's above yourself. Measures of men who are driven by measures of man. Do I have all the money in the world? Do I have the most followers? Do I have the most leverage in the marketplace? Those are measures of man. God can wipe all that away, and the only thing left is the voice of the truth. What did you leave in the crowd that was true? That can be played 100, 200, 300 years from now. 200, 300 years from now, do you think it would have mattered how many people who were live in the moment were able to hear me? Do you think that part matters? Let's really just think about this for a second. How important was the people of the time to the mind of the person who was speaking to forever? Well, if he would have followed the measures of man according to the times he was in, if he didn't have the entire village listening to him, then he held no credibility. The reality was, what he was writing may not have been paid attention to by anybody in the moment, but for all time, we all have known his words. We all have seen his art. Nobody paid attention to him while he was alive, but his art sold for $53 million a piece long after he died. That is really what inspired the notion that such exists. Inspires me to move the way I do, because I don't really care how many people are listening to me right now, because I know what I'm doing is meant to be listened to in places I never go, to minds that I'll never know, to people who haven't been born yet, and best appreciated and celebrated by people who don't know I exist right now. And I lose that. I lose the ability to be who they need me to be by being so enriched with the measures of man in the current times I'm in, which are fleeting, doing whatever I need to do to be wealthy right now, doing whatever I need to do to be famous right now. Famous to whom? Known by whom? People under the tyranny and warped nature of a devilish world? No, I'm trying to wake people up from that. I'm not interested in being a part of passing that forward. No, that's not interesting to me. All the zombies know who you are. That's cool, bro, but how are we waking these people up? Well, if you want to be known by all the zombies, you can't wake them up. You got to appeal to what's already in their heads. You got to continue to capture their point of interest, which is the propaganda they've been warped into engaging in and believing and living by, right? No, that's not my purpose. My purpose is to help undo the tangled web that propaganda weaves. I can't appeal to that and be successful in what it is the Lord wants me to do. People are so quick to be successful by the measures of whom? One another. And that's why we keep on passing forward the same webs and shackles of our brains toward new generations that can continue to be easily manipulated. It's because in order for us to be successful, we got to continue to reinforce more of that into the world, instead of going against that to change the world. And I don't think it's time to do that. I think it's time to make a change. And I was listening to something, the concept came my way as I try to analyze what it is that's going on in terms of music, AI, and how the fight between artists and AI is now starting. Because what you have is AI making music and artists getting less opportunities essentially going forward if this continues. And for the artists themselves, if your heart is pointed at the artist, then you hate this AI stuff. You don't like this because it's going to take the opportunities away, devalue who they are as an artist, and ultimately make them potentially useless if things are going the way a lot of people think they may be going. But here's what I've come to look at and understand. A lot of the artists, especially your mainstream ones that you've been subjected to, they're reinforcing concepts, as I've just described, that connect to your point of interest. Concepts that you were raised with that ultimately are for the worsening of your life. In a lot of cases, it's not positive energy that people are drawn to, it's negative energy. People are negative in what their interest is. They've been taught how to be negative, they've been taught how to be evil, and so that's what they're used to. That's what they're going to be drawn to, is negativity, hate. That's what is driving a lot of the most successful people. It's concepts of negativity and controversy and drama. I look at some of our famous artists, and they've reinforced anarchy and drugs and sex and crime as a means of continuing to be successful, because that's what people have been raised to appreciate in their music when it comes to this culture, right? What I'm seeing with AI and the music that AI is providing is the ability to insert different concepts with those same catchy tunes. Some of our favorite artists who've given us our favorite templates of sound are now their sound is being utilized to provide a more broadening idea of what can be said in those songs. So a song that you would hear normally telling you to have sex or to go cheat on somebody or to be skeptical of the world around you, through AI can now be singing concepts that have nothing to do with what would ultimately capture your mind, as it pertains to those who are willing to invest in those artists. They have to be willing to be, able to connect with you. They have to be successful in connecting with you. And the only way to do that is to be negative, sexual, etc., right? So an artist who comes out, who makes great music, the sound of their music isn't talking about uplifting us, isn't talking about teaching us how to just like random, like anything, teaching us how to properly set a table, like whatever the hell, like, you know what I'm saying? They're not going to be singing about random stuff. They got to be singing about certain things. And those people who are singing about other things probably aren't giving you as good a music. They're probably not as talented in the area of music. What AI can do is take some music that you're absolutely going to love and insert a concept that has nothing to do with what you relate the music to. And so I heard this recent AI song. It sounded like something that was made by Summer Walker, but it's not talking about sex. It's not talking about, she's talking about uplifting women, praying in authority and having things come her way that are attracted to her, things knowing, things that are meant for her, knowing who she is before she even walks in the room, like just affirmations and stuff like that. It's like, that music, as we understand it, would never go with those concepts, not in a million years. But AI is able to effectively put the two together. So tomorrow, your favorite song could literally be teaching you how to build your credit. instead of teaching you how to be skeptical of the woman in your life or the man in your life, or teaching you how to sell drugs or take drugs as a means of being happy. It can teach you how to cook your favorite meal, because it'll take the same music with the same cadence and apply that topic instead of what people who are in position to invest in the music would otherwise be comfortable investing in. It creates a great deal of options for which to receive information, to receive communication, to teach people how to read, teach people new languages. You can do a million different things and take the same cadences of music that we ultimately find ourselves in love with and attach them to those things. It's what music should be. We talk about how to teach people who have short-term memory, attention spans and things of that nature, how to teach people who have learning disabilities, complex topics and complex concepts. This is probably how you do it. You take that same song that they love to death and introduce it to them singing these concepts, instead of singing to them all the different evil things that ultimately the music business loves investing. The things that they know work, for which they've been teaching us how to be drawn to for as long as music has been in our eardrums. That's really the danger, the true danger, quote unquote danger, of AI in the music business. It's not rendering the artist useless. It's inserting concepts into our eardrums that ultimately can be better utilized in teaching people concepts they need, rather than just continuing to teach them how to sell weed and smoke weed and kill people and be skeptical and be evil and be anarchic or whatever the word would be. That's what AI is really able to do. And the artists who are in love with themselves and in love with attention, artists who are in love with continuing to push forward concepts that are making people worse to the betterment of their own vanity and the betterment of their own celebrity, are now being forced to make better music and expand the concepts from which they're willing to speak. And then it inserts the ability for new artists to come in who don't want to talk about all that stuff to now have opportunities at being more promoted, because they will see the success the AI is having with the songs that are coming out that aren't talking about the things that we usually relate to these cadences. It is genius. If utilized correctly, it doesn't take away opportunities for artists. It inserts a world where more artists with more concepts to share with the world are now introduced on a broader scale. It expands what artists can do. The competition is there regardless. And that's what people need to understand. When it comes to these artists, we need to understand your competition is with other artists. Your competition is with the past as well. So that they insert a new competition in AI does not render you useless, because as long as you're making songs people want to hear, people are going to have time set aside to listen to you. You just got to get better at what you do. And if you're no good, then the world will have even less use for you than it does right now. It saturates all the worst and inserts talent back into the equation. And for those of us who are spiritual, this is something we need to understand about what AI can do. The Lord, the living God that we serve, can insert himself into the AI and provide certain concepts that are divine in nature. He can utilize that. He can in fact reach us probably better than some of these vessels who are so very disobedient that he gave all this dang talent to, who ultimately are warped by the idea that they need to be successful by the measure of a man. People who are just enamored with the idea of their vanity and their fame and their wealth, who will sell God and everybody else down the river at a taste of that. They effectively get saturated out or raised differently to never go down that path to begin with. That's what AI is really going to do. And those who want to sell us poison and want to become famous off the back of people who are led down the wrong path, they no longer have an opportunity to do that. That goes the other way now. Now they don't get listened to. People who don't have anything but poison to sell to the people, they don't get as famous anymore. They don't be the only ones you hear on the radio anymore. The dudes who ain't got no kind of talent, who are only famous for the evil that they do in the world, they don't get as famous anymore. They don't have as much influence anymore. That goes out the window. See, that's the thing. When your relationship with God grows, you start finding out what his intentions are with the things that a lot of people who don't have that connection with God have no idea about. All they see is the pessimism that comes with the change in their lives that they're not comfortable with. Oh, what's going to happen when I can't teach the world how to sell drugs? What's going to happen when I can't teach the world how to have unprotected sex? How can we move forward and be successful and famous if everybody's screaming positivity that comes from AI songs? Whatever are we going to do? Our evil ass is going to have to stay in the hood and continue doing evil stuff for the rest of our lives. We don't have an easy path to becoming wealthy and famous because we can't utilize the evil that we do to make ourselves wealthy off the backs of the people who don't know any better. Whatever will we do? You're well on the hell you deserve. That's what's going to happen to a lot of you artists, to be honest with y'all. You ain't going to be able to influence people to continue to deteriorate themselves. That's what's going to happen. You get saturated out, and the devil you serve gets less and less powerful in the world that we're in. That's what happens. Off the vessel you are for him. No more. And I've been giving a lot of thought to this. Should I support AI? Yes. AI making music? Absolutely. Because the devil can't gatekeep good concepts out of the door. If I, my very own self, can take the concepts that I'm most interested in, take the same type of cadences and the same type of song patterns that I'm most interested in, and combine the two, I don't need you. Evil artist that's only in love with his own fame, I don't need you. And if you can't give me concepts that are good for me, if you can't give me something that's going to turn my life around for the better while simultaneously making the music, what I want it to be, then I don't have to listen to you no more. That's good for me. It may be bad for you, but you don't care about me, so why do I care about you? All you care about is getting your next check. All you care about is being famous. All you care about is being able to sell your merch. That's cool, buddy, but what are you giving to people? You're using the concepts that made us worse to garner our attention and make you famous. I don't need that anymore. I never needed that before, but I definitely don't need it now. And because we're in a world where we just go with what we're raised with, people just following whatever, we're following whatever we were taught, following whatever people get along with, following whatever's the trendy, just following whatever. The devil's been able to effectively control us by way of whatever it is we want in those moments. Oh, that's trendy. Man, that is meant to destroy everybody. Yeah, but it works. See how they react to it? Look how they jump when they play it. Like, bro, that's meant to destroy everybody. But it works. Like, all right, cool. That's what we've been looking at for the last 50 years, if I'm being honest with you. It's exactly what's been going on for the last 50 years. People shallow as ever. Been trained to be shallow for 35, 40 years. Trained to be selective in regards to their humanity for 50, 40, 60 years. Concepts placed into rotation by those who were intentional on training us to be self-destructive so they can manipulate us. training us how to be separate so they can manipulate us. Train us how to be devilish so they can manipulate us. Train us how to be addicts so they can manipulate that. And we're going to keep on passing that crap forward because it makes us famous, because everybody is trained to do it, so they're going to be drawn to it. And it's us that makes me successful. Let me teach them how to kill themselves. Why? Because they always love when people teach them how to kill themselves. No, they've been trained to follow that stupidity, and no one's trained them out of it. No one's undone the wiring. Because everybody's trying to be successful. And how do you be successful? By maintaining the wiring. No, I'm not interested in being successful. I'm trying to undo the wiring. And whatever's going to do that, I'm going to be supportive of. That's the concept that's been coming to my mind as it pertains to the music industry lately. And as somebody who's been curating playlists and mastering my own style in that regard, I don't find myself pleased with some of the concepts that I've reinforced into my playlist over the years, and it's because I didn't have many options. If I wanted good music, I had to continue to listen to people tell me they were selling drugs. I had to continue to listen to people tell me that I don't need to trust people. I had to continue to listen to people telling me to give the finger to people and how to love things and not love people. How to love things and not love self. How to value things and not value people. If I want to listen to the best beats, I got to listen to people who want to beat me over the head with self-destructive concepts and concepts that deteriorate my people and concepts that belittle my understanding of what should be cared for and what should not. No, I don't want any of that anymore. Y'all can have all that. Because that's the only thing that people want to invest in is these sounds. I don't want to hear none of that no more. That's where I'm at. There were times when I used to listen to some of my favorite artists and just say, man, this music is so much deeper than what you're trying to say on the song. Your depth as a musician far exceeds your depth as a human being. So the beats and the music would be deep, but the words would be shallow, lacking in any kind of substance. Why? For what it is we just talked about. This is the end of that, as far as I can tell. This is the end of that. Some of the best songs I ever heard didn't teach me how to do nothing but drink. They teach me how to drink, teaching me how to cheat, destroy my own happy home, teaching me how to welcome STDs into my life, teaching me how to get myself thrown in prison. So the best songs I ever heard, that's all they were teaching us. How to hate people that look like me and to give passes to people that ultimately want to invest in these concepts for the deterioration of my people. Also, I can listen to music that connects with my soul. I gotta chant concepts that are meant to deteriorate it. When you find out why that is, you don't want to see that continue to be a part of your world. You don't want that to be what you're doing anymore. No. So that people that want to kill people in the Middle East can get wealthy enough to do so off of this being one of their many cash cows? The deterioration of my people and our bad spending habits? No, I'm not interested in making them any wealthier. No, I ain't trying to make them any more powerful. That's all that's there for any damn way. I wasn't never there to entertain you, fool. That's meant to keep you paying into some stuff that's meant to make you worse and make them richer. It's about them. They the main character in that picture, not you. You the mule that they use to get what they need. Your shallow, drooling ass brain over all these evil concepts of destruction and forced indifference and pain is what they most thrive off of. And then turn around and take that thriving and pour it into the most ridiculously sadistic and self-serving intentions you can come up with. And you are none the wiser because you're too busy doing exactly what they want you to do, too busy trying to appeal to them so that they continue paying to you into reinforcing these same concepts to further deteriorate your people and send you further and further away from God. Absolutely not. You know how many good soldiers, good people we've lost to these concepts? How many influential, charismatic, talented artists we've lost to these stupid, shallow-minded, and intentionally meant to destroy us concepts? Half of the best rappers of the last generation are dead because they subscribe to these concepts that were only out there for that purpose I just described. They weren't there for no other reason. You got geniuses chanting the dumbest concepts, following them, not because they're not smart enough to think their way through it, but because they've been warped by the influence of culture meant to destroy them. They died. They never got a chance to even know that this was the case. They fed poison to the people and they died their own war. Destined to be a disgrace. Not a legend like they're seeing right now, but a disgrace like what they'll be seeing when all this is revealed to the masses. And that's why I'm telling people, those who are trying to line up with the winning team, those who are identifying who's in power right now and kissing their boot because they think this is the path toward being on the right side of history or the path toward long-term safety and wealth, you're miscalculating some things. You're giving way too much credence to the power of man and way too little respect to the power of a God. And that is one of your worst concepts a man can make in the limited time that he has on this earth. One of the worst mistakes you can make, as I said in the last time I made a video like this, is believing that God doesn't exist and acting accordingly. It's one of the greatest mistakes a man can make. The greatest mistake he can make for his family and his lineage and his legacy. Betting on the fact that a God exists is a much better bet. And moving according to those understandings and those limitations and those parameters is so much safer for you long term and what this is shaping up to look like than thinking that he doesn't exist and then lining up with whoever's controlling things, regardless of whether they're doing things that hurt people or help people. You just line up with the winning team. They got the most money, they control the most things, they got all the surveillance. Okay, that's who I'm rolling with. No, that is godless. That's not smart, friend. That's not smart. Many of the people in power are running toward a brick wall right now. Following them is going to have you run into the same wall they run into. That is not what you would have wished to have done with your time on this earth, your limited time on this earth. A lot of us are trying to secure generational wealth, trying to secure future for our families, education for our children, things like that. Lining up with people who are on the wrong side of morality, who are intentional on destroying other people for the sake of their own vanity, is a bad decision. That is a wall they're running into. They're going to be destroyed by that. I promise you. We need to turn away from those concepts. And if you want to make it, and you want your kids to make it, you got to turn away from those concepts, man. I don't give a damn how much it looks like it's working. It's not going to work for long. It's going to fall apart. Everything the devil do fall apart, man. Everything he has a self-destructive button attached to it. I cannot stress this enough. I don't care how much power what he controls has in the moment. It is destined to fail because he is a failure. His promises are lies because he is a deceiver. His intentions are phony because he is a failure. And if you have that worked into your equation, no matter how much power or how little power what it is he controls has, you will pour no faith into it and you'll be better for it. Video 44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.